Alrighty, everybody, welcome into another episode of the Lore Pod Podcast. I'm your host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. And today we're going to be diving back into the world of Mass Effect. We have talked about Garrus, of course, there from Mass Effect, and of course, the First Contact War, and a little bit of lore there for y'all. In the early parts of the Lore Pod Podcast, about a year and a half ago now, which is insane to me. Again, I'm your host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. A little business out of the way, though, before we dive any more into Mass Effect. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast, everybody. Leave a review. It helps us out fucking insanity. You have no idea how much it helps. I've been podcasting now for about 12 years in different shows and such like that too, so it really much does help. And of course, my Instagram is CodaRex97, my Twitch page is CodaRex97, and at Dakota_Morgan3 for X, and to YouTube, in case you're listening on the podcast and you're not listening on the YouTube page, is Dakota Morgan on YouTube, where we have video games, we have reviews, we have Dino Time shows in there, we have the Lore Pod podcast for you to check out, we post older episodes on there, and more. Alrighty, enough of that shit. Let's dive into what you're here for me to talk about, the Krogan. That's right, we're talking about these beefy bad boys and girls from Mass Effect. Now we're going to dive into a little bit of their history here, what's going on, what's been happening there, the genophage, all that shit there, little species coverage here for the Krogan. Now the Krogan are my top two faves here for species, actually, Mass Effect. Of course, you can have them as your partners there. These guys are intelligent, they're beefy, they're fun, I think they're great personality, I love their attitude towards shit, and they're still really fun spacefaring race. I love them. And of course, Mass Effect itself has so many unique designs in there that aren't just human looking things. I fucking love it. I love it. We even have a squid alien. It's so dope. Now, of course, Rex and Grunt, MVPs. Now, diving into them here, though, before my love of the Krogan really takes hold, we are going to be having them as a tall, a bipedal alien with a head actually coming from the front of its kind of area, middle section there, unlike other humanoid species where the head is going to be on top where the shoulders are, making them have this larger kind of hump. And that hump is actually important because it's very similar to the camels on Earth, where it does store nutrients. Now, this is a very hardy species there. They have reptilian skin, outer kind of shell, kind of body armor-esque biological armor on them, as well as, some scales and stuff like that too, and some claws. But they're very smart. They're very spacefaring race. Now, they became hardy, though, and became very durable and tough, even with digestive system, which is why you can't have a Krogan drink on the Citadel, after spending a millennia living on the harsh planet of Tuchanka. That's right there. The harsh planet of Tuchanka is there's giant kaiju worms that live in the fucking ground. They gotta survive. Now, their evolution, of course, so through this time, and I said they're hardy, but evolution made them very durable to loads of extreme physical abuse and made them very strong too. And this is even so much so that it's been shown that they have redundant organs for if some of their organs fail, like major organs, they start failing or get injured, they have redundant ones in their form to actually replace the failed ones. It's that's so fucking cool. I love Garrus's people though too. I really do. I love all the aliens in Mass Effect. They're just the coolest. That's why I like any of the xenophobe people. I just hate them. Sorry, Ashley, you died very early in my Mass Effect 1 playthrough. I'm sorry. Everyone loves you, but I'm sorry. Now, back in time, though, their homeworld, Tuchanka, was actually very beautiful, very luscious, full of jungle and all that there, too, and had some great architecture, pyramids. They even had modern-day cities, great vehicles and such. But their environment there would counteract them, of course, still. That was until their industrial age. Once the Krogan hit industrial age, they were able to counteract that harsh environment and just go to town on expanding. Now, that is due to, after some time of population expansion there, that's because a female can just lay 1,000 eggs, or up to 1,000 eggs over a year if she chose to, 1,000 fertilized eggs. And they began to have a huge population explode there. So because of that, resources are starting to dwindle there because they weren't smart about it. They didn't have the help of the other races yet, and so they actually were not too smart. But they still were resourceful in their own way. But civil wars did begin, and those civil wars turned fucking nuclear. Across the planet, turning it into a wasteland with a little bit of vegetation, a lot of destroyed buildings and shit like that there too, and actually formed a clan-based society for 2,000 fucking years. That's 2,000 years as clan-based. You even deal with that as yourself, a shepherd there. You're dealing with that shit. Still, that clan-based society there until later on. Now, the Tellurians, the other space-bearing species in there, began helping out their culture there and giving them the Shroud, a large tower there to help with the Krogan atmosphere. It's a large tower, shot stuff into the atmosphere atmosphere to help fix it after the nuclear apocalypse, basically. The Silurians were very interesting there. The Silurians, yes. The Silurians did this, though, to help recruit the Krogan for their interstellar war against these things called the Arachni, which were these spider-esque kind of aliens that had this, like, hive mind connection there with them. They could communicate through people and shit, too. They had their own ships and workers and stuff, too. They're very smart. But the Arachni went to war against a lot of different races. So the Krogan decided to help join them as well, too. Now, after the war, they did win it. They did win the war. It was a very bloody one, though, but Krogan joined all the races and helped out. Now, with that, they were able to join the races, of course, in the Citadel, but they began an expansion, claiming worlds for their own. So while they had their own ships and everything like that there, too, they were also engulfed into the Citadel and with other races, this whole thing. No, it did not work out, because after they started claiming worlds, the Silurians did make the thing called the genophage. Oh boy, and a thing you had to either decide to cure or not cure in Mass Effect 3. And of course, what did I do? I cured that shit. The genophage was a disease made to affect only the Krogans, and it would affect their birth rate. So that's where only 1 in 1,000 would live, which is you're basically doing genocide at that point. And it would actually use the Shroud as a secret weapon to help disperse the genophage, to help stop their expansion, their ever-expanding numbers there, and taking over the planets. Yeah, it was rough. Loads of Krogan took to space, so they expanded their homeland. They didn't want anything to do with it that much, but some did stay behind. But loads of them took to the stars, and they joined other races and became mercenaries, arms. Like, they really much became known for that. And of course, so they really just had a very distrust for the galactic government, as Solarians for sure, and just really wanted to cure the genophage. And whenever it was brought up, boy oh boy, the conversations were fucking intense. Now, of course, so violence was their ways of talking, and that was their way of talking with these amazing alien species here. And I enjoy it, and it's fun, and it's just, it's just more kind of rougher kind of way around the edges there. You're gonna have the sweet talkers and medium people, like, yeah, you're gonna have the tougher kind of aliens. Now, this whole event though made the Krogan females stay on their homeworld. So while you're out and about, you very rarely, if not ever, would see a female Krogan off-world. The females did stay behind, made their own clans, and the ones who were fertile were treated like royalty, while the infertile ones became the brains for most of the species, though. So that is the thing, though. The females just in general became the brains for the species, but the infertile ones had to, of course, become the warriors and such to help defend. Now, a surviving Krogan that does live through, the 1 in 1,000 birth rate has to go through a thing called rites, which are rituals of survival and growth. Their first one is called, you survived the survival rite of the rite. I'm like, what? Yeah, you just lived. So you passed the first rite. And there's rituals and such like that there too. Now, of course, this species is the most famous for Erndot, Rex, and Grunt, which I won't give the full name because that might be a spoiler for those who do need to play the game. And boy, oh boy, we could do profile episodes on just Rex and Grunt alone. Or just either one, a solo episode. And of course, Rex is one of my boys. Him and Garrus are always my squad mates in there. Best we can. So, of course, and Grunt too for Mass Effect 2. Grunt was just fun. All right, everybody. I could geek out about Mass Effect all day long. I've been currently replaying the whole series here. I'm, as of this recording, on Mass Effect 3. Just about done with that one and ready to cry all over again. Playing the Legendary Edition. Thanks, everybody, as always. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast or on YouTube channel. My social media and all that and Twitch page are in the channel or description box down below. And, of course, as always, friends, remember, stay creative.